might actually be happening. There is a lot of momentum on Kevin Durant becoming a member of the Miami Heat, and we are here to break down everything that has transpired over the last 24 hours. This is the Heat Report by Chat Sports. I am Nic Rohloff, and I want to get this out in the open right away. If KD is traded to the Miami Heat, we will be going live to break it down, celebrate, and see what's next for Miami. So make sure you're subscribed, make sure you have those notifications turned on, and don't miss a thing because it is going to be a very chaotic and frenetic 48 hours ahead. And in the last 24 hours revolving Kevin Durant, it has been absolutely wild. We have seen reports left and right from media members in Phoenix, from national reporters on how things are progressing and how we are getting, I feel, really, really close to a deal actually coming to fruition. Did the timeline get revealed? Well, a Phoenix Suns reporter, we've referenced him a lot, John Gambadero, who does a lot of Suns work on radio as well as write, and he went on his podcast and radio show last night saying that he expects a KD trade to go down sometime next week. There is a lot of momentum on this happening before the NBA draft, and that's where I think this is very important to understand. All parties involved, whether it's the Heat, whether it's the Spurs, whether it's the Suns, the Rockets, the Timberwolves, whatever team ultimately tries to pry KD away from Phoenix, everybody wants to have clarity going into NBA draft week so they know what they can do with their own draft capital, other trades in the draft. Like, people want to have clarity on the Durant situation going into that Wednesday 25th, 2025 NBA draft. And when you get this note from Shams today, by the way, that said in the last 24 to 48 hours, he's told that the focus of Suns conversations has been on the Rockets, Heat, and Timberwolves, basically labeling those three teams as the finalists in a Kevin Durant trade. That starts to spark a lot of interest that things are really progressing here. Shams also said that he could see a trade picking up even more steam, and instead of happening next week, could happen over the next 2 or 3 days and maybe even get done this Father's Day weekend. So before we talk even more on KD, let me know, do the Heat land Kevin Durant? Pin comment on today's show so you can hit with a YouTube ad break, scroll down, let it play, and answer today's question. Type Y for yes and for no. Now, I do want to say this, and I'm going to give you my full percent chance I think KD becomes a member of the Heat at the end of today's show, so stick around for that. But I find it very fascinating that Shams, when reporting, who has been the most aggressive in Kevin Durant pursuits over the last 24 to 48 hours, did not mention the San Antonio Spurs. And there is a lot of buzz and talk on Twitter and social media that the Spurs are actually kind of out of the KD sweepstakes. They are fully focused on drafting Dylan Harper with that second overall pick and committing to their young core of him, Castle, Vassell, Wembanyama, and maybe De'Aaron Fox. They are skeptical of adding a 37-year-old Kevin Durant and then extending him over the next couple of seasons. Now, I will say this. The Spurs are still the favorites to land KD. According to DraftKings Sportsbook, when you look at the odds for the next team to land Kevin Durant, San Antonio is still the favorite at plus 100. But if you take it back 24 hours, just yesterday, they were minus 250. So they have come down in a dramatic fashion. And Miami has absolutely sprung board up the list of teams here. They now have the second best odds as of filming at plus 250. Yesterday, they were plus 1,000 and fifth on the list. So there is a lot of momentum going towards Miami, potentially being the team that ultimately gets it done for Kevin Durant. It is getting extremely, extremely loud. I'm talking about it. We see other Heat reporters talking about it. We see national people discussing it. It feels like Pat Riley, who's wanted to acquire Kevin Durant 3 separate times over the last decade, is finally going to get his man. Is it finalized? No, it is not. But it is certainly feeling like they are heading in that direction, which is why I'll let you know one more time. Make sure you're subscribed and have those notifications turned on, because if it happens, we'll make a video and go live on the channel, and you will miss those if you don't have your notifications turned on. So subscribe, turn on those notifications. Only 13.1% of you have. Do it now so you don't miss a piece. Now, the way I want to round out this show and have this episode kind of finish is if the Heat are really, really close to getting a KD trade done, what are they ultimately going to offer? Because that has been the thing that Heat fans have been the most divisive on. Do they include Khalil Ware? Do they not? How much draft capital do they give up? What is worth it for Miami and what is not? I'll say this. I think if Miami offered Khalil Ware to the Phoenix Suns right now, I think this trade would be done. I really feel that way. The Suns are desperately trying to add a center that could be with Devin Booker long term. And after Khalil Ware's pretty good rookie season, that is a player I believe Phoenix would really covet. Now, on the flip side, Miami, and this has been reported by a couple people, Barry Jackson, 5 Reasons Sports Network, they are very reluctant to include Khalil Ware. And I understand the reluctancy because you were talking about a player that is 20 years old, entering the second year in the NBA, a 7-foot center with absolute elite athleticism, rim protection traits, and a ability, by the way, to space the floor next to Bam Adebayo, a center that Heat fans have been begging for the Heat to add to this roster alongside Bam Adebayo ever since Bam's become the starter in 2019 full-time next to Jimmy Butler. So I get why you wouldn't want to give him up. But if the Heat really believe that KD, Bam, Hero, and then a filled-out roster could get them to the top of the Eastern Conference, it's hard not to reconsider including him in a potential Durant trade. But let's say they don't include Khalil Ware. I still think this is the most likely package. And maybe it becomes a 3-team deal. I know we've talked about that, and I tweeted it out yesterday. It got a lot of traction on my social media. If you want more, by the way, follow me at Nic_Rohloff. But the Heat sending out Nikola Jovic, Andrew Wiggins, Duncan Robinson, and the 20th overall pick feels like a really good offer. And when you look at those other finalists between Miami, Minnesota, and Houston, what are the other 2 teams willing to give up? It doesn't sound like the Rockets want to give up multiple picks. It doesn't sound like they want to give up Jalen Green and Jabari Smith, which is what would have to happen just based off salary alone. Minnesota could offer a package of maybe Rob Dillingham, DiVincenzo, and Rudy Gobert. Do the Suns really want that? I don't know. One thing going for Miami, and this is very individualized towards the Heat's package. Duncan Robinson. Is he a needle-moving player? No, he is not. But his contract is. He is going into the final year of his deal, $19.8 million. But that is not all guaranteed. He has an ETO, which means if you trade him, that full salary of $19.8 is absorbed by Phoenix. But because of the ETO, they could then waive Duncan Robinson immediately. They'll take on the $9.8 guaranteed in salary, but save $10 million. And for Phoenix specifically, you combine the $10 million of Duncan Robinson's salary waived. They have a couple team option contracts that they could waive and just decline. And if they waive Duncan, get rid of those 2 team option contracts, they could get underneath the luxury tax. They could go from in the second apron to under the luxury tax. That is just monumental for an owner, yes, who wants to spend, wants to win, but if he realizes and comes to the sense, okay, we're trading Durant, we're probably not going to be able to win the title next year, one gap year of saving money with the tax could be monumental for him in his own pockets, but also to help him spend in future years to build around Devin Booker once Bradley Beal's contract comes off the books in the next couple of seasons. I'm telling you, that is a bigger storyline that isn't talked about enough by national media. Duncan Robinson's contract is absolutely huge in these discussions. And I'll also end the show with this, my final word on today's show, if you will. If the Miami Heat actually do land Kevin Durant in a trade, I want it to be clear the Heat should not be done for the offseason. They still have to be active. I would be very fond of a KD, Bam, Hero trio offensively. I think it would work defensively as well. But they still need to build out a more complete roster around them if they want to come out of the Eastern Conference next year. And it's also a fascinating storyline to figure out if the Heat will actually trade Khalil Ware, because Kevin Durant at this point of his career is a 4. He is not a 3. Now, it could work with KD, Bam, and Ware offensively and defensively because Bam is so versatile on that defensive end of the floor. He could guard wings, and KD can go to that natural position of guarding stretch 4s in the NBA. But if you trade Ware, then you have Bam and KD as your 4-5. The Heat are linked to DeRozan. That would probably only cost you Rozier, Jaquez, and a second-round pick to get DeRozan. Could you realistically see an offseason that is Hero, DeRozan, KD, Bam? That's your 2 through 5. You fill in the 1, fill out the bench, and that's where you go into next season with? That's a possibility that we'll discuss if a KD trade actually happens. But let me know, to end out today's show, what is the percent chance the Miami Heat land KD in a trade? Scale it 1 to 100 to me. It's not 0. It's not 100. But let me know your percentage. I am a delusional fan. I am always delusional. Well, last year I wasn't delusional. I knew they stunk and I wanted to miss the playoffs. But right now I'm delusional again. Give me 77%. If San Antonio and those reports about them not being interested in KD is valid, they don't want to give up Vassell in the 14th pick plus salary, and they're not going to trade for Durant, then I do believe Miami is the most likely landing spot between them, Houston, and Minnesota. So if the reports about the Spurs are accurate, I do think Miami's the favorite, which is why I'll give it a 77% chance. The sniper is in the 305. And if it happens, as I've said multiple times throughout the show, we'll be going live. Subscribe for more updates on Durant and the best coverage of the Miami Heat on YouTube.